Despite what some legendary actors might have you believe, Game of Thrones wasn't all just tits and dragons. The 8-season HBO series based on George R.R. Martin's sprawling A Song of Ice and Fire saga was far more sophisticated than the sum of its most prudent parts. The series was an honest and in-depth exploration of political dysfunction. There was no easy decision to be made, and even the best deeds from the most pure at heart rarely went unpunished. Even factoring in its less than superb final season, Game of Thrones was refreshingly complex pop entertainment for adults. And in today's video, we will be showing you the top 10 greatest warriors of Westeros. Without further ado, let's begin. Tormund Giantsbane. Discipline and skill may be prized in warriors throughout the Seven Kingdoms, but north of the Wall, strength is key. And there are very few free folk stronger than Tormund Giantsbane. Sure, his given name is a bit of a misdemeanor. He doesn't kill giants so much as he suckles on giantess milk? Well, however Tormund gets his calcium, it certainly does his body good. The Kissed by Fire wildling is the only man skilled and strong enough to serve as the most trusted lieutenant of both Mance Rayder and Jon Snow. Beric Dondarian. Strangely enough, Lord Beric Dondarian's biggest strength is also his greatest weakness. His ability to be constantly revived by his fighting partner, Thoros of Myr, is certainly useful in the long run, but it also robs him of an important trait any warrior must have: fear. Beric may fear the metaphorical death encroaching from beyond the wall, but in a fight against any other mortal, he is probably a bit less likely to properly protect himself. After all, why keep an eye on one's heart when it can just be jump-started by the Red God at will? Beyond his supernatural hook, however, Beric is a capable soldier. Sir Barristan Selmy. Sir Barristan the Bold is the platonic ideal of a chivalric knight. He is honorable, skilled, and widely beloved. As a younger man, he distinguished himself as a soldier in tourneys and in the War of the Ninepenny Kings. At his height, he was probably the most capable swordsman and warrior in all the Seven Kingdoms. During the events of Game of Thrones, however, Barristan is not at his physical peak. He remains a remarkable fighter and warrior, but his days as top dog are likely over. Also, let's not neglect to mention that, while honor is appreciated, it can be a deterrent in a fight against some less than savory characters, which makes up a significant portion of Westeros' populace. Sandor Clegane, aka the Hound. If it weren't for his taller, scarier brother, Sandor the Hound Clegane would be the most terrifying physical force in all of Westeros. This former Lannister loyalist is 7 feet tall, in the books at least. Actor Rory McCann is 6'6", of pure rage and contempt. The Hound is profoundly disappointed in the state of the world and his fellow men, and he's more than happy to take out his disappointment on anyone foolish enough to test him. The Hound is a supreme mix of both skill and raw power. Put him in a melee and he'll come out wearing a frown and dozens of enemies' blood. Pit him one-on-one against just about anyone and he'll likely survive the encounter as well. Jon Snow. There is not much that Jon Snow can't do. The presumed bastard of Ned Stark, but the true son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, Jon Snow is as close to a traditional hero that this tale has. He's imperfect, but honest and likable. He's a natural leader who hesitantly takes on the responsibility of shepherding the Night's Watch, the Free Folk, and eventually the entire North. Jon Snow is such an impressive historical figure that it can sometimes get lost in the shuffle that he's a tremendously capable warrior as well. Jon puts his childhood training in Winterfell to good use and immediately becomes one of the Night Watch's most useful swordsmen upon arrival at the Wall. Grey Worm. Look, the Unsullied are just not to be trifled with. The warrior eunuchs of Astapor are bred, born, and trained for only 2 things: war and obedience. When Daenerys Targaryen purchased the Good Master's entire lot of Unsullied soldiers, she decided to free them and remove obedience from the equation. That gave her an army that was trained for war, but now had an agency to decide whether they wanted to pursue it. Turns out they did, for the right cause. As the chosen leader of the Unsullied, Grey Worm is a prime example of just how effective a dedicated, well-trained soldier can be. Dany's rare act of mercy and humility unlock Grey Worm's true potential. Brienne of Tarth. In the Game of Thrones world, you can often judge a warrior's skill by who they've defeated. With that in mind, very few characters have a more impressive resume than Brienne of Tarth. Excuse us, Sir Brienne of Tarth. Brienne begins her journey by taking down all of Renly's men in a tournament. Sure, they may be Knights of Summer, but they are well trained and it's a hell of a feat nonetheless. After that opening salvo, Brienne goes on to defeat Jaime Lannister, the Hound, and seemingly half of the population of sellswords and hedge knights in the Riverlands. Bronn. Most of the great warriors in the Seven Kingdoms are highborn. That makes sense, as the noble houses have money and therefore have access to training, equipment, and proper high-protein diets. But being highborn isn't the only route to being a great warrior in Game of Thrones. Just ask Sir, eventually Lord, Bronn. Bronn, son of no one in particular, is one of the best fighters in Westeros because his whole life has been one long fight for survival. He came from nowhere of importance and soon found that his best way to make money was with a sword. While the lords and knights of the country view battle as an exercise in glory, Bronn sees it for what it is: dangerous, bloody, but necessary work. Jaime Lannister. At his height, Jaime Lannister was quite the LeBron James of Westeros' warriors, with Sir Arthur Dayne being the Michael Jordan, of course. Tywin's eldest son was a tournament and war prodigy, reaching the knighthood at age 16. He was even younger in the books. He came to prominence at an absurdly young age and then established a commitment to combat excellence well into his adult years. Arya Stark. Perhaps it's surprising to see Arya Stark at the top of the list in favor of countless other Game of Thrones warriors who are bigger, stronger, and more experienced. Or at least it was surprising to me as I came to the decision. But I would invite you to go on the same journey that I did and match Arya against anyone else in the Thrones canon and ask yourself the question, would Arya lose this fight? The answer I came to, time and time again, is a definitive no. And that's not just because the plot armor afforded her as one of the story's most important characters. Arya Stark is quite simply Game of Thrones' most effective and efficient killing machines. So guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. For more interesting content, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video.